Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi. I'm here with my co-host, Russell Daniels. Wait, no. Welcome to The Downside. My name is Gianmarco Soresi, doing a second intro with the cameras on. Everything's recording. I need a producer. Welcome to this podcast. This is a podcast. I never do an intro for new people. We talk about the negatives. We debunk the silver linings. We celebrate the complaining, kvetching. And I'm here with my co-host, Russell Daniels.
Hi, Gianmarco.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
And we're joined.
Yes.
You're already not doing well. I could tell that you wanted to talk about that first. And I feel like I'm at a couple's therapist, first of all.
No, we did have a little bit.
Room.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
the seating.
Yeah. I'm in a therapist position, and then you're a couple who's not getting along. And
I would love. Listen, I've been doing a little bit of couples therapy recently.
Oh, you have?
I have.
Fascinating.
I can't go too deep into it. It's still, this is new territory.
I admire for you for trying to make something work that hard. I've never tried. Absolutely never tried that hard.
I would love to do like one couples counseling with every single one of my friends. Just one, just like a check-in. Hey, what texting habits are we not feeling good about?
Wow.
Just that.
Yeah, but we know.
Basically, it could just be about
I don't
text
you back
behavior
quickly enough. For like, what would we gain
No, and
from
I would tell the therapist that was an oversimplification.
Okay.
Well, listen, we'll get to this all. I did want to bring up one thing before we talk.
Now it feels like an intervention, I was called here.
Yeah.
Comedy Central did that to me once.
You are making me nervous right now.
Comedy Central.
They called me in to yell at me one time. I go, bitch, you haven't hired me for anything ever.
What did they bring you in to yell? Because you talk shit about them?
No. I did do that, but that's not why. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. Good. So what I wanted to bring up is I walked an audience member for the first time in a long time.
Oh, I thought you were going to say for the first time ever. I was like, have you even been trying? What?
I know. It was one of those things where like sometimes I'm like, yeah, good. Patrice O'Neill walked people too. But then in the moment I feel bad. And this one didn't feel great. So I do a bit. I call it crowd work therapy. I do crowd work, but I always bring it back to my father. Like somehow whatever they tell me, I bring it back to my dad cheating on my mom and things like that. And then at some point it gets to a bit where I go, hey, what's your name? Okay, so I'm me and you're my dad. And I try to do like a little role play with them. And it ends with whatever they say. I go, that was pretty good, but my dad wouldn't fucking be here. And then applause, TV deals.
Okay.
And So I'm doing it. It's at LOL. So I'm fucking, I'm letting myself go loose. I'm going to let myself take risks. I'm going to be an artist.
Why are you working at LOL? You're past at the cellar, you psychopath.
Because I can't walk someone out the cellar. I'd be freaking, if I walk someone out the cellar, I'd be freaking the fuck out.
Okay,
so,
I need to get because there's two types of walks. There's the they walk because I'm not funny, and then there's the walked because I offended them. Walked because I offended them is powerful.
You hope so. You hope everyone understands, but it's easy in this business to have a distrust that
who needs to understand the janitor at LOL? No one's watching you there. They don't care.
LOL's fine. So I go. So this guy, it doesn't sound like English is his first language, or he's just very shy, and he goes like. I say, can we do role play? I'm me or my dad. And he's like, no, my dad's dead.
Yeah.
Yesterday was Father's Day. We're recording this, by the way, a couple weeks ago.
Okay, my dad's dead too.
Sure. So what I said, well, now your dad's ruining my day too.
Okay.
And he was there with clearly his mother, older mother. Okay. So he gets up and he leaves.
Okay.
And it's very awkward. He looked upset.
Yeah.
And so then he goes, and I think I got the audience back. I said some joke about my mom. And then I start talking to his mom, and I'm like, is he gonna hit me when I leave this space? And she's like, maybe. And I go, and you're not gonna like stop him. She's like, I'm on the fence with this one. And now I'm doing the whole set. So she spoke
better English than the son did?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
How did that happen?
Maybe the son was just like shy and awkward and nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's kind of enjoying watching me on stage because all I see in my head is like, he's gonna hit me, or he's going to get, I'm paranoid. He's going to go get a gun and kill me. He's going to the car to get it.
I love that you were at no time during this worried that you hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
That it maybe was like his first
Well,
dead
it's like
Father's
Don't come
Day.
to a comedy show.
You're worried about.
He probably-
I mean, that's specific crowd work you're doing.
But I didn't say be your dad. I said, could you be my dad? And you can't be my dad?
Okay,
Because...
comedy audiences love to make it about themselves.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the problem with comedy.
But if you're going to like throw your dead dad, then at a comedy show, if you're going to lob that grenade at me, I'm going to kick it back.
Yeah, it must be really fresh dead dad, because this was my first dead Father's Day, and like you do want to weaponize it because it's the one opportunity you have.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I had a nice childhood, so this is all I have to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wasn't like
Yeah.
roasting audience members either. It wasn't like I was like roasting you like, well, your dad clearly never taught you how to dress. Like it was
Right.
about me.
I can see you felt that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's been holding that in. Let it out.
What
What else did you not like about this
yeah.
fucking loser?
And then eventually, so I'm doing this set, and I'm LOL. Once a guy like kind of charged me at LOL, and all I remember.
It's not a safe space. Physically.
It's literally insane that you're still doing that there. Like you don't how often are you doing spots there?
Whenever it fits in, 5 a week.
I stopped
5
doing
a week.
LOL 5 years ago because I was actively getting worse at comedy every time I performed there, and I assessed the situation.
Oh shit.
And I am a spot fiend. Okay, I'll still do it like a Japanese restaurant for 2 people. I love stage time. LOL was even too bad for me.
There are a few places. LOL is one of those places where I can go up with the notebook and go like, I'm gonna hold it here,
Okay,
and like I use it. I use it for my purposes, and in exchange, they don't pay me.
I think you like getting mad. I think this gets you
you're,
off.
you're the second person who's told me this in the last week that like
Yeah.
the things I complain about, it's like that's the life I want as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
I don't.
fuels
I
you.
don't,
Some people are
absolutely.
addicted to their own stress hormones, and I think that might be you.
I don't think that's fair.
There's definitely a part truth to that, Gianmarco. Knowing you for as long as I've known you, you seek out these things to get mad about.
And you're married, so I trust you more because you've obviously got someone to come with you.
Yes, and I think you think that you don't, but you really do seek it. You really do, and because I think you like a little bit of drama. Do you know you like a little bit? You like getting
He's
mad.
creating drama right now with his body language because we're calling him out on this.
You feel it's an opportunity. I think you feel it's an opportunity to find comedic things. And so you're like,
Sure.
oh, how can I get
That's
myself
a big
all
problem
riled
for
up,
comedians,
you know?
yeah.
And then maybe something funny will come out of that.
Yep.
You know?
Okay, so the guy comes back in the room.
Okay.
And
We're just going to completely ignore any work we just did. See, you have to get back to your complaint. That's what fuels
when we stopped the
you.
podcast, I said, "What the fuck was that, Russell? How dare you embarrass me?" So he comes back in. I'm scared because so I was saying one time someone charged me at LOL.
Why
Like,
are you such a pussy?
why am I such a pussy?
Yeah.
I'll answer that one because I don't want to get hurt. What do you mean? You want me to get into a fight with this man?
I literally
He just lost his
assume-
father, Corinne. I shouldn't beat him up.
I cannot believe I haven't been punched in the face yet. Every time I leave my apartment, I fully am prepared to get punched in the face for the things that I've said.
Sure,
What's
but
the
And
question?
I think
you're sassy as shit on Twitter. You're asking for it.
I am.
I
I'll give
know
you that.
you are.
But
you
I
should
think
be prepared to get punched in the face because it's going to happen 100%.
it almost happened once.
Well, you
It
got
almost
punched in the face, but not in a
Oh, I got
comedic
I got
setting.
bopped in the face. I'd call it more of a bop, but he thought I was walking too close to him.
Yeah,
he didn't say
that
like I
wasn't
saw
a
that
comedic.
tweet about LA comedians.
The only thing, you're very tall, so hopefully someone wouldn't be able to reach you
It's
in
a
the
mix.
face.
I think some
but-
people don't fuck with me because they're like, he's tall. He's going to be a lot. He's going to be a lot of work. If they knew how quickly I'd crumble, I'd be getting hit left and right and
Yeah,
center.
I agree.
So at LOL, this guy charged me once, and all I remember is the bouncer, who's a big motherfucker. He just, while he was like in my face, he brought up the check and was like, "Could you sign this really quick?" And he was making sure the guy signed his credit card before he beat me up and got kicked out, and the
And
police were
that
called.
stopped the charge?
No. That just like he didn't care about me at all. He was just like getting the signature, and then he like walked away. The bouncer.
But did you run away when he was getting the signature? Like what?
No. He was like doing it with this hand. Like, what the fucking call me up there? Steve Buscemi on meth. Why don't you go? Like he was just yelling.
These people are offended over little things. That's really what got him amped up. Steve Buscemi comment.
But it was searingly accurate.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Well, you do know how to hurt people. I can tell that again, even from your tweets. I don't even know you that well in real life. I've taken this information from
as someone who has like
media.
family problems. I will definitely like say something fucked up about your family with like a degree of removal that some people are like, you cannot say that about my father.
Wait, you have current family problems?
Yeah, just
You're an
general
adult.
distant families.
Cut the cord.
Cut the cord.
What the fuck are you talking about? I can't. I literally I can't. I feel like you unknowingly inspired my when I talk about on stage. I'm like, if you're an adult and you're still messed up from your parents' divorce, the problem is you.
Corinne, that's my whole act. You can't just erase my whole act.
And they did get divorced because of you. It was your fault.
That's fine. I'll take that. I'll take all the fault.
How old are you? 30-something?
33. Wait. This is all spiraling out of control. I don't blame my parents. I'm just saying there's distance, which is fine.
This is still, you're an adult. What are you doing?
Do you not talk to your parents?
I talk to my parents. Well, not the dead one.
Sure. Well, there you go.
I actually do still talk to him, but that's another podcast. Yeah, no, I talk
Maybe
to
was this your brother that I roasted in the LOL?
No, I talk to my parents all the time, but I'm saying like so what about their relationship with each other is still affecting you? That's what I don't get.
I think it's more just like first of all, my mom and I are on pretty great terms right now.
Okay.
Because she listens to the podcast. My father, my dad,
very passive aggressive.
My dad, there's no worry. My dad's never listening to this podcast. I think what's challenging, what makes the conflict is that you love this person. I have a fealty. I have a feeling of like, if they have surgery, I will go down. But there's a distance. It's just I think the conflict of like love and hate.
Okay.
And that's all. I don't go around. I complain about my dad on stage comedically, but I don't go around like blaming my dad for my like day-to-day problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
That's a
I
good
blame my
explanation.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
So
do you think that the structure of your personal relationship is like fucked up because of your parents' relationship though?
no, I don't even try to parse nature versus nurture.
Okay.
I just go, whatever it is, it's what I am right now. So I got to deal with what's cards I have.
Okay.
Do you find that as a professional podcaster, you end up interviewing the interviewer?
I like to do it. Honestly, I'm just like so interested in relationship dynamics that I need, and it's like more interesting than hearing myself talk. I just hate being on podcasts, so I find answering the questions so fucking boring. So I think I would rather.
I thought about that. I thought about like how can we talk about things that are not the things you've talked about to death.
Oh, I'm so sick of it.
I thought I'd talk about. I don't know if you've talked a lot about your dad's shop that you took over.
I have recently, but I like talking about that.
Can we?
It's free. This is just a free ad now. That's great.
Sure. Well, let me just say, yeah.
Oh, did you want to hit
we still have
intro
not,
music?
We're talking to Manscaped, I think, but they don't seem to be getting back to the emails now.
So now we're doing an ad about an ad that we possibly will get.
This is the downside.
On this show?
Downside. You're listening to The Downside.
The Downside.
With Gianmarco Soresi.
So
it was worth coming so I could figure out how to correctly pronounce your name. Something I struggle with.
Yes, I think we talked about it on this podcast. You were on Bert Kreischer's podcast.
I literally say something nice about him on Bert Kreischer's podcast, and he fucking has to mention that I said his name wrong. I go, "You're lucky I said your name at all, bitch."
Yeah.
Well, whoever's name is Gianmarco Scorsese is headlining around the country.
She's a shout out and a big thing, people would know.
I don't think I complained. I don't think I said thank you.
What did you do? Did you reach out?
He complained
Did you DM?
in writing on Instagram.
In a
Yes,
DM
you
or
fucking
publicly?
did.
Oh, you did like a story?
I did like a tweet that said like...
He was like, thanks for the shout out. She, almost got my name right. Oh, Josh, shut up.
Fun stuff.
I've had my name spelled wrong on a marquee. Shut up.
You sure know how to win. It's like
I could see
man.
Burt Kreischer got on the phone with his agent, like, "Give me Gianmarco Scorsese to open for me right now," and they're like, "He doesn't exist."
Is there any other Gianmarco comedian?
Right.
Here I am at
Exactly.
LOL Comedy Club. Like, I wish Burt would reach out.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it's you. And also, it's like, with that, your name is so many vowels. Are you even trying to succeed in the business?
Well, you know who's to
Shorten
blame
it.
for that, Corinne?
Your
father.
dad.
So,
Your dad.
so this card shop, it's called Centered. It's called.
It's called Perfectly Centered.
Perfectly Centered.
It's a sports card reference. So like I don't know if you're into like card collecting, but like you to have a graded a 10, it needs to be perfectly centered when they print it out.
In the frame or in the card itself?
Baseball cards aren't framed.
Interesting. But why would a card not be centered?
Okay, so I have you know what a baseball card? Well,
Yeah.
because on the print, like when gets printed out, you know, just how anything when it's printed, to have it perfectly centered is hard.
Sure.
So that's why it wouldn't be centered, because just like when it comes out of the machine.
And your dad started this store when?
1989.
Was it? Is there money in this business? It's one of these
There's a
niche
lot of
things.
money in this business,
Really?
but it depends what time. So like when he started it was big, and then there was definitely a lull at points, and then during COVID it shot up and people became literal millionaires from card collecting.
I mean, it's very similar to NFTs, except it's physical. I mean, it's the volatile marketplace of, like, ultimately these are pieces of cardboard, paper.
Yeah.
And you just hope that it
A lot easier damaged, it gets damaged a lot easier than an NFT too, obviously.
And
Is it one of those things where there's just so few businesses that do that's why it's oh no.
No, that's not why, because there's a ton of it. It's just mostly moved to online. So yes, the fact that I own a brick and mortar sports card store is rare because there's so much overhead in a brick and mortar, but I'm doing it, partly for like family and passion reasons.
Yeah.
So yes, like monetarily it would be smarter just to sell online, but also some of the direct accounts that we have with like Tops and stuff, you need to have a brick and mortar because they know that people have just opened their own version of eBay from their home. But the reason it skyrocketed was because during COVID, everyone was home and every guy was sick of hanging out with his wife and kids and went up to the attic and got his old box of baseball cards, and people got involved in the hobby again. So that's why it skyrocketed.
Is there a reason that baseball over basketball, over other sports? Like, why is baseball the dominant card?
I think it's. I would guess. I should know this history, but I'm guessing that's just like the first sport that made it. But like when I say baseball cards, I really mean hockey, basketball, football.
But baseball's one I always hear about. Maybe it's because people who love baseball are the kind of people who love cards. Like, it just feels like those two interests, like something on the spectrum, something on people who love baseball love numbers. They love to. I just think people like baseball would also be into cards.
Yeah, I think you also just hang out with a lot of white people.
Sure, this definitely feels like a white hobby, for sure.
Well, baseball is just like a whiter sport, I feel like, out of the other sports.
Sure, it's a great national pastime.
But it's not, but when people say baseball cards, a lot of times they are referring to all sports cards. And right now, the ones that are the most valuable are football and basketball cards.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then even like things like soccer and stuff have come into play.
And when your dad opened it, was that his main income? Like, this was his main job?
That it's his only job. Yeah, baseball card store fed me, clothed me, sent me to college. My mom wasn't even working until I was in like high school. She was working when I was a little kid. She was a real estate agent, but like that sounds a lot fancier than it was. It was not like it wasn't like a reality TV show. It was like little colonial houses around New Jersey. And then she didn't work for a long time while she raised my brother and I. And then she went back, got her master's, and is a teacher now. But that was like, there was a long gap when it was my dad providing money for the family.
Were you into it as a kid? Were you into cards?
I was into the fact that my dad had a store there. It also sells horror and sci-fi memorabilia and posters, and that's what I'm into. I'm really, really into horror. I love horror.
Really? Mm-hmm. Can you? I struggle with horror. I find I'm.
What don't you struggle with? How is horror going to trigger this man?
Life is a horror movie.
I've had people with traumatic childhoods say that to me before. They don't like horror films because they had such a hard life, and I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
What was your you liked horror movies as a kid? Like, what was your favorites as like?
Gosh, I mean, to
like
me,
what you got you into it?
so to me, just my dad's love of it got me into it. And there was this convention that still exists called Chiller, and it happens in New Jersey 2 times a year, Halloween weekend, and then usually sometime in April. And I think there's a lot of creativity. So it has you have the creativity in dress at these conventions that you would experience at like a gay club or something where people just feel really free to express themselves. I always gravitate towards that. And then there is a lot of sexuality in horror. Like you would go and these scream queens would be walking around with their breasts out. And I just love, you don't see that anywhere else.
So what's a scream queen?
Like a Jamie Lee Curtis or a Neve Campbell now.
Yeah, famous woman. And but then there's like lower level ones like kind of like for B horror movies.
Yeah.
And they are literally just known for being hot and dying in horror films dramatically. And you got to have pipes and you usually have a big rack. I actually was in a Fangoria Scream Queen contest where I had a scream on air, and one of the judges was Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. And he did comment that usually Scream Queens have bigger chests, which felt inappropriate, but he's not wrong.
For the scream competition.
How old were you?
I was in my 20s.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like a kid, and I was like, that's not.
I said he didn't come in yet. But
Are you good at screams?
I'm so good. I told everyone in the studio to take their headphones off, and they were like, "This girl thinks she's like." And then I screamed so loud, everyone had to, by knee-jerk reaction, take their headphones off. It's no. I can't do it now.
Why?
Because someone's gonna call the
The
cops.
police will come.
That would make a great episode. How, really?
Yeah.
You really think someone will call listen,
Yes.
I yell all the time. I yell, fuck!
I can hear when people knock on the
Fuck
door.
and screaming are two different things.
Yeah.
Do you think you could do a good scream?
No. No.
I also haven't attempted it in a long time, so my vote, I can feel there. I might have a little damage from
Really?
just talking nonstop, podcasting and stand up.
I am sure. I
But-
think about more and more because I can be loud on stage.
You?
When the jokes are not.
I feel
quite
like you probably
there.
do it vocally healthy though. Like you because you went to musical theater school.
maybe,
you're like,
but-
you're
you're like
trained?
me.
I went to college for musical theater, but believe you me, like I'll do a little warm up before like a headlining show. But I could see myself getting nodes someday and being like, God damn it, I can't believe I got nodes from talking.
I know. I do need to learn how to like speak from lower, and I want to sing so badly because I did musical theater too, but I was always like the comedic relief. So I was like the Gene Stapleton role in Damn Yankees, or I was the
Sure.
Wicked Witch of the West in the Wizard of Oz.
But it can be very frustrating. I think especially like as a comedian now, because there was a long time where if I talked to you, I would talk in like an elevated
yeah.
way. And if
Oh,
you
I
go
remember
to
that.
my
When I met
earliest
you, you
stand-up,
did that,
so
kinda.
my ex texted me, "What kind of KY do we use?" And it's so fake.
Right.
It's painfully fake that like to do it later in life I think is harder because you're like, let me just fucking talk.
Yeah. But I think that like part of like the way you speak is what makes you unique as a stand-up.
Yes, but I think like
Like
one
'cause
of the
you're being an asshole on stage, and the voice just lends itself to the character.
But I think
which
one of
we're
the-
finding out is not a character.
one of the things like I think when actors like get into stand up that one of the ways that we're like very inauthentic for a while and maybe never escape it is that we were trained to like have this put on something where if someone becomes a comic and they have no training, they're barely talking, but it's them.
Yeah.
They don't even have the capacity to put on anything else.
Sure.
And that can make them more authentic in the beginning, and then they can learn how to fucking you know, breathe.
I know people always want me to like correct my voice because I have this New Jersey accent, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like this is. I was like, do you guys not know the story of Piper Perabo, or was it not Piper? No, who was it? The lead in Coyote Ugly. Maybe it was her. I can't remember.
What's the story?
That she had lost her New Jersey accent, and then her first big break was getting that role in Coyote Ugly, and she had to
so funny.
relearn it. And I go, I don't want that to happen to me. So
Yeah,
just
they
gotta stay
do.
safe.
They
out
do
here.
that in acting school. They try to make people not have any sort of accent like that.
Because it's the only thing the voice teacher is going to get to accomplish in the
Yes.
next 4 years
Yeah.
is get you to like
Honestly,
say your R's.
For real, it's the only tangible thing but it's such a joke, especially in how the entertainment business is now, because being your real self, your most damaged, unpolished self is what people love. They are like fucking sitting at
Yeah.
home jerking off to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're into this. So okay, here's just my sister's into like horror stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
If, do you consider horror? It's this whole genre. Like, is Scream Queens considered like lower, like trashy horror?
I wouldn't. I mean, they're respected in the industry. It's just like, kind of like what he was saying. Like, yes, like Jamie Lee Curtis is a scream queen, but it's like Jamie Lee Curtis. One of the things she does, I would say, is a scream queen. Whereas scream queen is the title to other people whose names we don't know. If that makes sense.
Sure.
And so, but are you drawn to a certain kind of horror? Like, are you drawn to like slasher? Or are you drawn to like more like ghost contemporary, like A24, like Hereditary?
A24 is doing some incredible work right now. I honestly like them all because sometimes,
Jamie Lee Curtis, you saw Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I didn't see that because I went to see, I had to
good.
choose between two A24 and I went to see Men instead because it's more my vibe. Also, Everything Everywhere All at Once isn't it more like a little bit psychological thriller? It's not pure horror.
Oh, no, it's definitely not horror.
Yeah.
But Jamie Lee Curtis is in it.
Okay, yeah. I've heard nothing but good stuff. I have to go and walk over and see that now that we have a movie theater by us. I love going to the movies alone. Tuesdays, $7 films. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Tuesday night. Oh my God. The lady told me after I bought it, and half price popcorn and stuff on Tuesdays. All you have to do is download the app. I'm just giving ads for Regal now.
Please, Regal, we're available. That's a little sample.
Are available.
Corinne won't be doing it all the time, but because my sister would go to sleep watching horror, and it's more just like horror to me. Sometimes I'm just like, does this not terrify you? Does this not get your adrenaline pumping? And if it doesn't, then what is it that you feel from the moment where they try to scare you?
I feel it in the moment, but it doesn't haunt me in my sleep. Like to me that's the point of like why women love true crime, because true crime really scares me, and I really do have trouble sleeping because that's about a real woman who was murdered in her home. But a narrative film, that's a horror. No, that doesn't bother me at all. That's relaxing. That's nice. It's taking me away from the horrors of real life.
Why is true crime? Why do you think? What's your theory? Do you have a theory of why women like true crime?
I mean, so often. For me, I like it because like men really do a lot of bad things to women in real life, so it's nice to see how to handle it. But I don't think that's why I love prep. Like I read all those books about like how to get out of quicksand, how to fight an alligator. But I don't. Do you remember off the top of your
head how do you get out of quicksand?
You're fucked, pretty much. No, you have to.
What kind of book is this? Just each page is you're fucked.
You have to. Well, you're not. I think you're not supposed to fight against it because I believe that makes the quicksand go further. And then I think you have to reach for something that's solid, in the outside space. But again,
I think John Mulaney had a bit though. He said like growing up, I thought quicksand was going to be a much bigger problem in my life.
Yeah,
and it is true. That was a fear.
It was in a lot of content.
What was the movie? Yeah, there was some movie where that's how they died.
Well, it's in the Never-Ending Story of the horse. Remember
is
the horse, and he's trying to pull it out.
Oh, it's a horrifying thing.
Quicksand is terrifying. I also know this really terrible story my friend in Kansas told me about a grain mill, and someone was like reaching over the grain mill that she knew to fix it, and then he got suffocated in it because it basically grains act like quicksand. Yeah. And not having grown up in New Jersey, that was like a new fear unlocked.
Yeah. I heard this one time. I was like 8, and this friend's mom was like from Arkansas, and she told me a story about like a barn that she was in when she was a child, and the floor gave away, and underneath the barn they didn't know
was quicksand.
Was like a thing of water, and her friend fell into it, and water moccasins like bit her, and she like swelled up, and they couldn't get to her, and they just watched her friend slowly like puff up and like. And she told me that story as a 7. I, for years, was terrified of falling through a floor and into like water no one knew was there.
Wait, water moccasins are what exactly?
They're like snakes that can bite you, and they're in water. They're
like just swell up,
and they cause you to like you have like an allergic reaction. But if you get bit by enough of them, like it will kill you.
God.
And so she just watched her friend, and she told me this story. And for years,
I'm
would be
think
like,
about this all
am
day.
I gonna fall through a thing that no one even knew there was water there, and just like. Anyways,
you make it sound like
why bring that, but like something about
you make it sound like the Willy Wonka girl, like she just blew it like bigger and bigger until.
I mean, she told me the story. I thought I probably don't go I think about it once a month at least.
I'm gonna think about it once a month now.
It's crazy.
Watching someone die and then when there's nothing in a way like that, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
They couldn't reach her. Their kids, they're trying to get some.
We talked about it. I think we talked about it on Patreon episode. What's the worst thing I ever saw? Was the escalator thing I told you about?
Oh, you watched one of those videos.
It was just like one of those. I don't know if you know Live Leak, the website. It's kind of like it's where people put like, There's some famous war criminal guy, or he got convicted guilty, and in the courtroom he took a gun out of a thing and shot himself in the head just right there in the courtroom.
I've seen like the guy like poison himself and okay.
Yes, there's the guy that poisoned himself at like the EU War Criminal Council.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I saw that.
You know, it's fascinating to see,
Yeah.
but it fucks you up. And
Yeah,
this was a. You want it?
Well, you have to.
Yeah,
now that I know the water moccasin story, my day's already
There's
ruined.
a mother, and there's like her kid, and they're going up the escalator. Don't get attached. And they're going up the escalator, and suddenly the escalator, maybe it's an earthquake or something, starts like breaking into itself, and the mother kind of throws the kid off the escalator as the escalator just collapses and takes her into the gears.
The kid was saved.
Whoa!
And she just like kind of vanishes into the
I didn't know that an escalator was powerful enough to take you in like that.
At least whatever was happening in this video, but she was gone. And
that's a heroic story, though.
Yeah, it is. And you tell me that story, and anytime I walk on an escalator that's not moving, I think of that. It's because I was like, what if it starts up? What if it, like that thing?
And you have no kid to throw to safety, so it'll just be a sad story. No inspiration with yours.
I hate when I accidentally, or like you don't know something's going to be like a traumatic thing to watch, but like you click on it, and then the New York Post does that sometimes. They'll be like,
New York Post.
here's this person right before they die, or like.
Well, that's what news has become. They're like, hey, we found this fucked up video. Here's us describing it. Now watch it.
Anyways,
so you're running this store now. How much do you operate in the day to day? Like, are you really?
Yeah, I just did fucking quarterly taxes yesterday. I'm on top of it. I do a lot of work for that store.
You're physically in the store.
No, I'm physically in the store once a week. I have a GM, John Campanelli, another comedian. It's fully comedian run.
Oh.
And what made you? Did you take over when your father passed away? Was it?
No, when he was sick and we realized that he wasn't going to be able to go back to work is when I made the decision to do it, because the store was just sitting there and we had to figure out what to do. It was not something I planned. It was not something that I had ever talked about with him, but I just was like, we were still kind of during COVID. I was like, I have the time, I have the flexibility, I have the income. And then I was able to get someone knowledgeable enough who I trusted to do it with me, which was the only missing link. And I said, all right, let's handle it. Because someone was going to have to clean out the store one way or another. And I didn't want my mother to have to do that. Yeah. So I was like, well, if I'm cleaning it out, we have all this stuff. We have all this inventory. The business is doing great right now as far as like the hobby in general. So let's try it. I don't know. I always wanted to own a store anyway. I envisioned it as more of like a tea shop. But, this is a store. So...
and does it feel your father passed away during the pandemic?
I mean, it had nothing to do with the pandemic,
sure.
But like, I mean, so yeah, it was still like COVID was still, happening. I mean, it's kind of still happening, I guess.
Were you able to like see him? Like my grandfather or step grandfather technically passed away, and luckily it was far enough that my dad was able to, still rough, go to the hospital, put on gloves, put on the mask, and see them. I know there was just that period where like you couldn't see.
It was when he first was admitted into the hospital, it was very deep in COVID, and so it was like only one person at a time, and it was like so there was all kinds of scheduling stuff. And then he was in different facilities like rehab and stuff, and physical rehab. And I couldn't visit him there because you had to go through like a 14-day period, and he would always get too sick and have to be released even in that like quarantine period. And then when he finally went into hospice, it was the rules, because everyone's dying anyway, I suppose. So the rules were a little bit more flexible, and that's why it was better to have him there. But I did have to like suit up in full PPE, like head to toe PPE.
Yeah, that was just a horror. It's just with the pandemic, everyone's figuring everything out, and it's like, well, for these final moments, you want to have people just to touch a hand.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like it did affect it, but it wasn't. Other people certainly have much worse horror stories involving COVID, and they're seeing their loved ones than I do. So
yeah, I think it was weird because my grandfather. It was just weird when people died during COVID. There were two people that died during COVID that I knew, and it was just because I didn't see them leading up to it.
Right.
It's kind of a surreal thing where I don't even feel like it ever fully was like they died. It was just like, well, I didn't even see them for a year.
Yeah.
Now they're not even gonna see them again, and it all felt ethereal.
Yeah.
It all felt ethereal.
You'll see him, buddy.
Okay, so store's doing well. I'm more of a Pokemon card guy.
We have Pokemon.
I have all these cards at home, and there's always a thought where I'm like, I could sell them someday. Shit goes rough. Hard to know. I want to give them just to someone. Do people ever do card dumps and just like, hey, take them all, make whatever money you want?
People do that a lot, actually, especially if it's a rich town. People use it like it's the Goodwill. But you can make money especially if it's their first edition Pokemon.
Some of them, yeah.
You should just sell them yourself on eBay.
That's a lot of work. I want to pay someone. I would pay someone to take 50% of whatever, and if they find a $5,000 card, sure.
Okay.
Good. I'll take that money. I was a big Pokemon card collector. I had a friend in middle school who was very sad. He actually died recently. He had cancer.
Oh.
But he would lie. He'd say that he had these like rare Pokemon cards from Japan.
Yeah, let's tarnish his name.
Yeah. He said he had these rare Pokemon cards, and like we'd always be like, "Oh my god, can you bring them?" And he's like, "No, dude, my dad won't let me bring that one." And they'd be Pokemon we never even heard of. And he's like, "No, it's only in Japan."
How did you find out he was lying?
They never showed up. Eventually, you're like, you can go online and be like, "This Pokemon does not exist."
Did you call him out? Like, did you?
No, like when someone lies so big, you're
Yeah.
we can't confront this person's reality because
Yeah.
it's beyond them lying. It's more like your brain. You need help.
Yeah.
So that's.
So you're saying it's good that he died.
It was very rough. It was like I remember.
It was rough for you. Yeah.
Later, rough for me. Later in high school, he would talk about how he got into Harvard or all the Ivy Leagues.
Oh, so he was just like a liar all the time.
Yeah, but like we're talking lying.
No, we know. I mean,
He's pathological.
Pathological.
Edgar Allan Poe supposedly was a pathological liar.
What did he do in life? Like later on, or you don't know because he was just like lying on Facebook about like, what he did. Like he just never.
Yeah, whoever knows.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure he found something, but there was just like. It was like one of those things where you're younger and you're like, especially when you're in 5th grade, you're like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But
did you ever find out the root of the line? Because like for me, I had a friend who did that, and it was like I was convinced it was because she was like overweight and uncomfortable about it, and so she got attention. Like she didn't get attention ever for being like a pretty girl, even though she honestly was a very pretty girl. She would get attention for the fantastical lies that she would tell. I had to dissect that as a child, though.
I had a very similar friend who, same thing, lied. Would always have like a boyfriend in a different school.
He doesn't go
like,
here.
And you'd be like, you want to be like you'd see the picture and you'd be like,
George Glass.
Not your
What was like the picture like?
You know what I mean? Like you're like, but like everyone's trying to be like, oh, cool. Like it feels so cruel to be like,
because they need that lie so badly.
Yeah, they need it, and so you don't want to be an asshole, but you're like, it's that thing where you're like it's okay.
Am I enabling?
Like, no one's doing great here.
Right.
You know, like in middle school, like
right.
Yeah, middle school's early to be like, I need to have a hot gal.
But it was it's the same thing where it felt like, you know, yeah.
Do you ever tell a lie to your friend? I'm trying to think if I ever like
not
really
like
lied.
That. I'm sure. Yes, I've lied before, but not like that.
What question is that?
But like lied like you. I'm just trying to think if I've ever like lied about like a full on.
I lied one time. I quit a job and I lied about having another job because I was having such a hard time quitting the job. Like I felt like I tried quitting and they were like, they keep tricking me. Like I was just a weak person and I was like, couldn't say no. So I finally had to be like, I got another job, and I did not have another job. I just knew I couldn't do this job anymore. And so I lied about getting like booking an acting job, and it was a complete lie.
Mine was.
But then they kept going to hang out, like, and so then I had to be like, no, I'm gone for the summer.
I'm on
I'm
set.
acting, you know, like
Yeah. My biggest lie, I said my grandma who had already died, to get out of a live performance thing, pre-stand-up. I said that my grandma just died and the funeral's the day of the thing.
I think if the person's already died, you can like reuse the death once or twice. I think that's fair.
I would love if they got caught there and said, really? You had a third grandma?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was, I'm curious because you did this podcast for so long with Christina Hutchinson.
Guys We Fucked, yeah.
Guys We Fucked. How? Because Russell and I were friends. We started this.
You started
I started it.
Yep.
I agree. Okay. Sure. We can write our separate books and people can judge.
Okay.
How have you maintained? What advice would you have, or what are the downsides? Since this is a downside, as opposed to advice, like that must have been. Do you have any struggle points with your friendship?
Well, I mean, yes, but the thing is, I met Christina professionally. So yes, we are friends, but we met when I was working at a talent management company called Liebman Entertainment, shout out, and she came to intern because she's a couple years younger than me. She came to intern for us. So the way I met her was professional, and I think that sets a different tone than meeting as friends and deciding to embark on a business together, because we were always working together, and we maintained a friendship over the years, and then later on reconnected to do Guys We Fucked, but we had already reconnected to do stand up. I mean, yeah, it's like any kind of relationship. It's certainly the relationship I've put the most work into. And you were talking about texting etiquette before. I actually think that really is a big thing. One of the rules that we have is text is for friendship stuff, email is for work stuff, because that can get really draining.
But what if one of the persons never got back to emails?
No.
What if one person treated emails like
I'm very good about it now.
Facebook messages?
I'm good about it now.
I understand that, but I mean, there's always going to be someone who's a little bit more obsessed with work than the other one. Like, that's true in any duo of all time. And there's someone was just talking about this, where in any partnership someone will always feel like they're doing more work and the other person isn't giving enough. But I mean, so it's kind of like you just have to. For me, it's like I just am an overachiever. I'm the person who, if we're doing a group project in class, I'm always going to get stuck doing more work. But instead of being mad about other people about that, and listen, I'm still mad at other people a lot, I have to look at my own behavior and think like, well, why am I not like kind of demanding help, or why am I the one always doing a lot of work? Like, I also am doing that to myself. So I think that's like, as I grow up, it's just, I just accept people more for who they are, you know. But this is in all work relationships. I'm just a workaholic, and that's really the problem that needs to be solved, not other people's things.
Yeah, I think it can be challenging. We're in a sketch team, and I have not been fully there. I've been on the road, kind of, and things have shifted. But I think it's very challenging with like a sketch team. We're dealing with like 5 different kinds of people with different work modes and different goals, and
yes,
it's just challenging. And the one thing about couples counseling, and I guess I felt this way when I started therapy, just a degree of like, oh, this is all relationships could use a check-in with someone who's like trying to like make sure you guys talk out exactly what you need. Like, it's useful. It's very useful. I'm not saying everyone has to all the time, but like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I bet I have a couple friendships that like they have some things with me and I have some things with them that if someone was like, well, to explain this, let's talk it, would help a lot.
Yes, but also I have found a lot of times in conversations like that, it's just talking and the behaviors don't actually change. And then because you've already talked about it, it brings you to a point where like, am I just going to be an asshole and keep accepting the same kind of behavior? Well,
at least then you can say,
or do I have to like end the friendship?
I think sometimes you can reach a point of like, hey, this is what I'm willing to do.
Not if it is like pays all your bills.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's where. I know Russell's dependent on this podcast to pay the bills. Once we get.
Yeah, it's hard because I'm a lot better communicator than I was when I started Guys We Fucked. In part thanks to that podcast, in part thanks to Christina. She's very good at talking. But also I think some of like my initial inclination to not be a talker and be more of a doer was also like not incorrect. There was nothing wrong with the way I was doing things and like the way I am. You just have to find out how to apply it to your life better.
And you when you do this podcast, you talk so personally about your own life.
Yeah, and that was a mistake.
Because I'm on that same page. And talk about the distance from my family or whatever it is allowed me to start stand-up and comedy where luckily I have never had a bit of pushback from any family members being like, you can't share that. I've never had that in my life.
Yeah.
Now I got a girlfriend. And someone who's part of the industry. So like I feel like I have to be more cognizant in a way that makes me uncomfortable. There is like a part of me, and it's a very obnoxious artist response of like, I cannot be stifled at all. Even though I'm able to like step back and be like, oh yeah, it's crazy to be like, hey, if we talked about it, it could be on the pod. Deal with how. Have you had any moments where you said, fuck, I should not have talked about that? or you're like, well, that's the choice I made, and
The only times, okay, so I have been very careful of that the whole time. I'm a really private person, so it's kind of crazy that I'm in this business to begin with.
It is.
It's crazy that what the guys we fucked is what blew up for me. I think it's people could smell that I didn't want to share.
Yeah.
And
That's
they
what it
loved
was.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I made a rule, and I've pretty much always stuck to it, that I only talk about relationships after they're done. So I'm not really doing real-time analysis of relationships that I'm in. And I had a nice 4-year span where I was single on the show. The first 4 years of the podcast, I was single. So that really worked in my favor.
Yeah.
Because yes, I was talking about people I was just fucking or casually dating. But as soon as they went into boyfriend status, then you would hear a lot less about them. And I think that was imperative to the functionality of the relationship, because then if you're continually regurgitating things that happen within the relationship, it makes the other person think like, are you in this because you love me, or are you in it for the fodder?
Sure.
I'm just saying things that his girlfriend said to him that he didn't want to think were true. I know your girlfriend.
Like
She's an intelligent woman. I love that you guys are dating.
Oh man. Nothing gets past her.
Yeah, I love her. I think she's great.
Did you do stand up with her?
No. How do I know her initially?
She booked some festivals way back. She's a manager. She worked at Gersh for a little.
I don't know how I don't remember the very first. I mean, I know her from the industry, but it wasn't from doing stand up. It was from her doing representation, I believe. I don't know.
I have this, and again, I understand it's obnoxious. Like the Howard Stern movie, Private Parts. Like something that like they made a scene out of, which I guess happened in real life, was like his wife had a miscarriage, and he was on the radio that day talking about like how small, like all these things, and his wife was like, "Are you fucking really?"
Yeah.
And I see both sides. I also see this idea of like
both sides.
I see like liking to talk. I see like liking
Pick
to
another
like
topic.
talk about your life. Talking about your life.
To me-
if you're
again,
a
it
book
feels
writer,
like-
maybe you have some years distance.
Again, it feels like there's part of you that is looking for stuff to happen in your life that then you can use.
No, stuff happens. My dad had a heart surgery. It's visceral in my mind. Being there was visceral in my mind. It occupies my artistic thoughts. When I think comedically, I think about that, and I create like a simulacrum. I say my dad, he had heart surgery, wasn't successful, he's still alive. I don't actually want my dad to die. This is the comedic thing I'm doing. Sure. But there's like...
This is my character, kid who wants his dad to die.
There's a degree, sure, I could be like, well, when this relationship's over, I got a fresh new hour that's been cooking for a couple years. Or like, I mean...
You sick fuck.
But that's just what I am. I'm just...
No, I know.
I'm the kind of... And I think, podcasting, like part of it is like, I want to talk about my life. There's some urge.
I know. We're just two different types of people. Honestly, it's just like this is going to sound like an insult. It's not, I promise you, but it's just like there's going to be people in this business who put being successful and like famous over everything, and I think you have that, and honestly I think it will serve you better and you will end up being more successful.
I don't think I will push back where I say I do think I've want to make, when it comes to comedy or stand-up, I think that's what drives the desire to talk about a thing. Like, I don't think I'm talking about my dad's heart surgery because I'm like, oh, well, this will be a good hook for my press person. I think I talk about it because I'm like, I'm feeling this right now. I want to talk about it.
You're talking about it because you don't have a therapist? That's what that sounds like.
No, I do have a therapist. I'm saying I want to talk about it because I'm like, oh, you know what I want to talk about when I go on stage every night? What's on my mind? What am I like turning? What is the thing I want to like turn into a joke because I felt it so deeply and I like sharing it?
I hear you and I agree with you, but also like sometimes I think you need to handle things personally before you handle them publicly.
Sure.
And if you always have to handle them publicly first, that's like a sign of that something is unhealthy in your life. And also additionally, a big part of the responsibility of being in the public public eye is taking care of and protecting the people in our life who aren't in the public eye and never asked to me. Asked to be. I have literal sit-down conversations with like people that I date who aren't in the public eye before we start dating. Like,
how's that conversation go?
Like a company meeting about like how I'm going to refer to you on the show. Am I giving your full name? And I tell them the things that come with that. And even with those conversations, people are always stunned and think that I was being over dramatic, when in reality, I think the feedback is that I have been under dramatic in that talk, if anything. I said, people are going to look you up. I mean, if you search me right now, it says Corinne Fisher dad obituary, because so many people searched my father's obituary because when I finally talked about it on the show.
Sure.
And I was quiet on the show during his entire sickness. Yeah. I didn't mention it at all. I just said if I don't seem like my normal self, I'm like going through something very serious right now. So I mean, that's what it's. So do I use their full name? I go. Something else you're going to have to deal with is there's going to be women who say that they're fans of mine, but actively try to have sex with you. Please don't do that. That's hurtful to me. You can tell me if they do, because it's not, and like, you're not the first one that they've done that to. I mean, there's a lot of things that they need to know. I'm like, and they're going to also, like kind of look through old things that you said, and if they don't like you, will try to like fuck over you and your career.
I mean, it sounds even, I don't have to deal with this level of fans doing stuff.
Yeah.
But have you ever said anything on one of your shows in all the years you've been doing it that the person said, either that you said, you know what, I shouldn't have shared that one, or that someone was like, what the fuck, dude?
Not really. I've been super, super careful about that. But I've definitely gone on rants where I listen. I have to ask the producer to listen back to it before it airs. And I got to say, I've like really pleasantly surprised myself that I have pretty much always said like what I want the way I wanted to say it. Mm-hmm. I also like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just really careful about what I say with other people. And I always have been, because I know the damage that it can do. Part of it is probably because my co-host did has said things that she didn't want, to say. And she's open about that in her relationships. But again, like I had training ground for 4 years where I learned how to do the show, and I couldn't hurt anyone's feelings that I was dating because I wasn't dating anyone.
Sure.
So that's also
that seems like the solution.
Different. And I have a good relationship with my parents, so nothing I was going to say about them was going to be offensive, because I don't have anything offensive to say about them, like truly. And I didn't realize how unique that is, but Jesus, loud and clear. I hear everyone. You all had a bad childhood. I'm sorry. I mean,
I was surprised. Well, I think I'm lucky in that.
Though.
My mom, the only time my mom got mad at me once for a joke, because I used her maiden name, and like,
yeah, my mom gave me explicit instructions about that too, because she's still working.
I was shocked. I did a tweet where my mom, she said she went on a date with someone. I said, how'd it go? She said, we're physically compatible, and I said, let's just say fine. And like, I did have a moment. That was one of the few times where my mom had like told me that the day before.
Yeah,
and I didn't think you never think. I mean, the tweets I think will go viral never do, but like that one, like all of a sudden it was everywhere, and then it was on like Instagram. It was like, she's gonna see this, and I thought she'd be upset, and she was like, couldn't have given.
Right.
She thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm lucky in that sense. My stepfather, I'm shocked. I just don't think he puts it. I think he sees it as like, oh, this is a fake version of me that you're talking about.
Well, I mean, that's funny.
And I am to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I do say to a certain degree, like the twists are for comedic effect. It's not just me saying the thing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to just know the people in your life and know how they're going to receive things. I also grew up in a house where we used humor a lot.
Sure.
So it's not like my mom knows I'm going to make fun of things. She said, like, she'll say something dumb, and then, and my mom's smart, so she doesn't say the dumb things a lot, but when she does, she knows I'm going to tweet it.
Yeah.
She knows. And if I'm ever on the fence about something, like, I asked the person, like in my special, I said my therapist's first name, and then I was like, oh, I should check with her. I ended up bleeping it out because I thought it was funnier, and like I kind of made the executive decision kind of just in a same thing, because I know I think I was like, oh, I don't even think my therapist can make an educated enough decision about this for her own protection, because she is not in the public eye. So I ended up bleeping it out.
Yeah.
But I think, it's just a lot of like knowing, and I've checked in with people's feelings way more being in the public eye than I ever did in real life before.
Sure.
And it's not that I didn't care about other people's feelings. I think I didn't realize that a lot of people are a little more sensitive to other things people say about them, because that's not really something that affects me a ton.
Sure. Well, let's go on to our next segment.
Yeah.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. Do you have a thing that's got to stop?
Oh yes, I did. I had to prepare this on the email. Wait. There's the two things.
There's a blessing later.
Okay. So the thing that's got to stop. I was torn between two things. I'll say.
You can do them both.
Yeah, but I forgot the other one.
Well, then the choice has been made.
What the fuck was it? But the thing that's got to stop for me is good-looking people getting into comedy. I'm sick of it.
Okay. Are we talking like models? Okay.
Yeah. I should be the hottest woman in comedy, and I was for a second. You know? I should be the Cindy Crawford of no one should be hotter than me.
Because
if you're hotter than me, what the fuck? Why? What has gone wrong in your life that you need these jokes?
Because it does exponentially to change that every comedy show now has like a full photo shoot before and after.
Oh, God.
And I think it's a direct correlation to that. I think you can't.
Comedy got sceney. You see the stand, just hot people going like they're going to Studio 54.
Yeah, and I think obviously I love all the photographers. I'm glad that there's so much work, but there is a thing where it is.
You're worried the photographer's going to be like, Russell wants us to not work anymore.
I do love them all, but I think the thing is like there is a thing where I still is like, it's every show, and it's like, you're like have to bring extra clothes to change into after, like it's a thing, and I think that that's connected to that. Is like this kind of like, and if you don't do it,
I also think that social media has encouraged it because good-looking people will get a certain amount of likes and retweets just because people. I don't understand the connection like people make where they want to laugh. I think they're like they don't know if they want to laugh or be turned on slightly, but they share and they like and blah blah blah, and so they go like, I'm pretty good. Yeah,
we just everyone likes good looking people more. I mean, have you ever gone out? I don't know. My best friend male is a 10. It is literally like walking around with a celebrity. I've never experienced anything like it. He has no. It's fascinating to me because I don't care that people are good looking. More power to you. The problem with me with the good looking comics is then it makes me have to try harder when if I wanted to be hotter, I would have just been an actor. You know, this is like where I'm supposed to be able to show up in sweatpants and a messy bun and just talk about what I want to talk about. We
had a friend, Alex Fast, who was a tremendous comedian, and he kind of left the acting business. I remember one of the things he said, and this was a long time ago, was like, he said this was he was like, I'm not good looking enough to like pursue this thing. And listen, there's plenty of actors who have made it without that. But I think what he meant was there is a degree where it's like it's going to be a hard road. If you're stunning, if you're beautiful, if you walk in and people somehow pay for your drinks all the time, it's going to help. Because the casting director is going to have the same response those random people had.
Yeah.
And
people are,
it just makes what is supposed to be an authentic art a little bit more inauthentic, because then you do start thinking about things like, do I need lipo? Do I need breast implants? Do I need Botox? It's comedy. That's supposed to be for the other things. You're supposed to be your real shitty self when you're a comedian. And now I just feel like it's a little bit more contrived.
I think about sometimes I try to dress better as I get older. I want to look a little like cooler, I guess you could use the word.
Yeah,
but it's things that
you're
I like.
doing it.
Thank you. but there's a degree of like, well, is this at odds with the thing that I'm here for?
Yes.
Like Anthony Jeselnik was one of my favorites. He's always had he's like in the comedy world, he should be
hot.
the top of the food chain.
He's a hot guy, yeah.
And he but he also had to, and Dane Cook, all his promos are always like these when he's in his 20s. And I'm like, Dane, you can't be throwing this out there anymore.
We all,
you're catfishing the entire audience.
I had such a crush on Dane Cook. Oh my God.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He was a beautiful man.
Yeah.
Why do you think, I guess it's like stand-up is such a miserable road for so long. These good-looking people, you're like, you could make more money somewhere else. You could get more respect somewhere else.
I don't care about that. They can do what they want. It's just really how it ups the look standards for me personally.
Got it.
And I don't because I'm like, I feel lucky to be as funny as I am and have a decent, and look pretty good. Like I'm a cute girl, but like, I'm not a model. this is annoying.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
personally irritated by that.
At least we're in New York. Los Angeles, it's crazy.
Tastes
I
like a
see
comedy.
some
Who
of
cares,
those.
though?
I see some of those flyers in LA, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no chance people are laughing at this show.
Yeah.
The audience should just be like,
It would be interesting to walk a day in the shoes of someone like really good looking, like just to feel like one time I was.
What if they did
one
that as,
time I
like-
had a friend ask me to like kind of babysit their kid, and I got treated as like a dad, like the people viewed me as
I
a
see.
dad of a young like little girl. People were. It was like this one morning. I was like. They were the nicest. I'd never been treated that way. Like normally, like people were just like, oh, like so nice to me, and I was like, it was a short it was a little glimpse into like, oh, people are nicer if they view you in a different way.
Remember they
Even
did
like
that?
going out as a woman with makeup, without makeup.
Sure.
I mean, because I look a lot different with makeup on, and I mean with makeup on, I mean huge change.
Yeah.
Huge change.
Remember they did that show? It got a lot of flack where it was like a white family and a black family, and they basically used makeup to make the white people look black and the black people look white, and they saw that.
I've seen things like that. I don't think I saw that specific.
There was a like mainstream TV show.
Oh, they've done it with like Fat Not Fat.
Fat
too.
Not Fat, but it would be funny if you like you said you wanted like a glimpse of that life, and they brought in like a 50-person team. They're like, we're gonna make you hot. We're gonna use mirrors and all sorts. Just that 30 Rock episode just captured it so well.
Yeah.
Like that. Have you ever seen that? She dates John Hamm, and John Hamm is like, she finds out that he's bad at everything. Like he thought he was great at tennis, and like he's the worst tennis player.
That's
in the
really
entire
funny,
world.
and it's so true.
And it's the bubble that he lives in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I agree. Hot people, you got to stop. And our final segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing, Russell. Let's start with you.
It's my 6-year wedding anniversary today.
Holy shit.
So
Today?
Yeah.
Why are you
I
here?
know. I was like, it'll be real quick. I'll be back. But well, we kind of have 2 anniversaries because we eloped, so we generally celebrate the other one more. But technically, this is the wedding anniversary. But I'm thankful for
What's the plan? What's the game plan? What are you doing?
No, we're just gonna like do it. We're going away this weekend, but so we're just doing like a dinner tonight. But like, but you know, so that's I'm just very grateful for my wife. She just like really puts in a lot of effort and always makes things so nice. And I just feel
And
like
what do you do for her?
Well.
This is literally you're living one of my guys we fuck pet peeves now. I stalk people's anniversary posts when it's a straight man writing them, and I analyze them, and it's always like, she's selfless. She gave up all her dreams for me.
Remember that Chris Pratt post?
Yeah,
People got really upset about that.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I do a lot. But
List it.
Why are you looking at me?
what?
List the things.
I like this. I like this challenging.
No, we did have a thing recently where it was like it is crazy how like as a man, woman, you can view yourself doing a lot of things. Like I'm doing a lot of the stuff around the house.
Sure.
And like not the thing of like being a man, you like just in our building, for instance, if there's an issue, we kind of like, we're not the supers, but
Really?
we're like
Grass monstrosity.
listen. I was gonna say things get put on her. Like if something is like, if there's like, oh, can you like, if there's something in the hall or something, they're gonna go to the woman in the thing and be like, can you?
Because they want it to get done.
Yes, and that is something
They
as men
actually want
we
it to
don't
happen.
recognize
Yeah.
like as like little things. So I feel like the last month I've been trying to change.
6 years in.
No,
Yeah,
listen,
what the fuck?
Listen, I feel like I always was doing a sizable. I don't feel like I was.
This
like
is
the
how I
worst.
felt at the beginning of the episode.
Listen, no, I just feel like I am trying actively to be better about that sort of thing. Where I don't always recognize like.
And that is
moments.
totally part of it. I get it. I mean, I'm
And
just
I'm
hard
trying
on-
to be
yeah.
more like okay. But anyways, I'm very grateful. She makes me laugh. She's. I feel like
I like them.
we always are having a good time, and I've been thankful to have the pandemic and like hear that there's like some people struggle. I never felt like that. I felt very like
This is my
solid
person.
and good, and like it really solidified every. I mean, not that we were already married, so but. I feel good. I don't. Now I feel like I'm apologizing.
No, it's
Now,
funny.
Russell was when Russell went on the first date. I mean, I've known Russell before he met her, and like it was one of those. He came in the day after the first date. We had a rehearsal, and he was fucking smitten.
Aw.
And it was just like it was like from that moment, just everything kind of fell into place.
How did you meet?
Tinder.
Yeah, really?
Tinder, yeah.
That's
Tinder.
great. I love that.
Can they promote the fucking show?
Are they? Do they still? I don't. Does it
Right.
still
Tinder
happen?
does ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Tinder. We're
They
open.
usually do it on relationship podcasts, though, not on this complain podcast.
I think mine's like a what not to do. Like,
Well,
listen to this.
But no, you should really think like branding wise, like what goes along with like being a curmudgeon and reach out to those brands.
Sure.
For real. Because those are the people who are going to be interested in. And like, what's your demographic?
Just
you
like
know?
what, like knives and ropes.
That's hilarious. Definitely do that.
Can you
Suicide tools.
Can you my blessing is I had a very lovely dinner. I went to a restaurant called Butter with my friend Lindsay Elizabeth Hand.
Are you trying
I'm
to?
pulling up the chef. The
What
chef.
are you, Ashley
So,
Olsen? Butter.
it was called Butter, yeah.
No, I know. I'm very familiar with Butter. It was like very hot years ago because the Olsens would go there.
Oh yeah, well they weren't there, but my friend Lindsay knew Chef Michael Jenkins. Michael
Okay.
Jenkins, he was a Chopped person.
Ugh, I
and
love
so
Chopped.
we got like we shouldn't. We had to order food because you have to order food, but he brought out so much free shit
Oh, that sounds so.
that it was one of those things
magnificent.
where I'm like, we should just order water because we got
yeah.
an insane amount of just one of the top 10 meals of my life.
I love that.
Oh my God, margaritas with like frozen mango puree ice cubes, and
Ooh.
it was delicious. So Lindsay and her husband JL, thank you for taking me and Tova out to that. I was very grateful for that.
I thought these were supposed to be like not actual like.
We do jokes
this is the
sometimes, but
sincere
sometimes
moment.
it's sincere.
That's not the way your producer emailed it to me.
Well, Paige, we're gonna go back to this has got to stop. Paige,
It goes both ways. It can go either way. So no, we can do you like do.
you can be sassy. You can
be
you can do a.
you know.
Because it literally says.
We've done it sometimes where it's like
And not generic shit like my health or my family.
know.
Well, that's what we
Oh
meant.
my God.
Something that people don't think to appreciate. So I mean,
like mine was a specific, as opposed to if I had said, and we've had this before. You know what I'm
Music.
thankful for? Food.
oh, okay.
Food, and then you
Music.
go, what
It
kind of
sounded
food?
sassier.
Just any kind of food.
in the email.
It can be something
be
like
sassy.
you know you run into acquaintance and like they didn't make
They
a
didn't
big
see
thing.
you.
and
Oh.
yeah, they didn't see you, and you got to
Yeah,
avoid
yeah.
the whole interaction. You know, it could be something like that.
I
too.
was just gonna say that I'm grateful that considering I'm Italian and Jewish, how little body hair I have.
You are very fortunate. Yeah, because I'm Italian and Jewish. Do we know this
you're-
about each other?
I didn't know that you were both.
I'm more
Yeah.
Jewish. I mean, my mom's fully Jewish, dad's slightly.
Yeah, actually, I think I knew you were Jewish, and then I assumed from your name that you were also Italian.
After I talk about my parents for 30 minutes on stage, I have a couple bits about being Italian and Jewish. But I'm a hairy boy, hairy butt. And when I was
inside the butt, like
Oh.
butt crack.
Oh, I remember one time, like in high school, being like, I'm gonna shave somehow, like behind, and we're talking like razor after razor, and
You
you're
can
like,
get
it's
all the
not
way in
stopping.
there. Yeah.
I would have to wax, but then it would just be like a strip of cleanliness surrounded by woods.
Yeah,
And-
if you're gonna get hair removal, get laser because waxing it is actually it's really itchy when it grows back in.
I know. Well, I've done that with my chest,
Mm.
but the most embarrassing thing a roommate said to me once. He was like, you go through toilet paper like really fast."
That's so funny.
and I was so humiliated.
Oh, is that because you're hairy asshole?
Imagine
dingleberries.
spilling a smoothie on this surface and spilling a smoothie on a wool rug.
Okay, got
It's
ya.
gonna be tougher to get it out of that wool rug.
I hope you talk about this on stage after you're done with the divorce.
I tried it once where I was like, Dingleberry, that's my least favorite berry.
Did he make you?
I like that.
Did he make you
I'd
pay
go to
more
that show.
for toilet paper if you're splitting the costs?
Yeah.
It won't be
I was
fair.
like, why are you bringing this up? I'll
Yeah,
buy
yeah.
it from now on.
Yeah.
If toilet paper sponsored this, that would be good.
Oh, I've had a toilet paper sponsor before, like the natural. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, you can get a toilet paper sponsor.
So you don't have to deal with. You're not too hairy.
No, I'm thankful. I've only like had to get rid of a mustache like one time in my entire life.
Wow.
Very thankful. Very thankful.
That's a perfect blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Would you ever get any kind of laser? Like, I'm worried about my shoulders. My shoulders sometimes it's like a little too much.
I have my vagina lasered.
Really? Mm-hmm. How many times did you have to go in for that?
It's not even completely done. I went in like maybe like 6 times because you have to go every 6 weeks for like almost a year.
How painful are we talking?
Okay, so when it starts, it's not painful, but as you get deeper and deeper into the process, it's just like someone's like putting a match next to your pussy. Oh, it burns, but it's so short, and some of the laser machines have this thing that blows cool air on you at the same time. You got to get one of those machines because that makes a lot of difference.
and then after the year, you're you're done
It'll never
forever?
come back.
Wow.
Yeah. So mine's right now is like it's almost never grows back. I just wanted to stop getting razor burn. Honestly, I'm so pale and my skin's really sensitive. So that was what it was about. And honestly, yeah, like things like cleanup. Like I'm super hygienic. So I feel you on the toilet paper and like that. Like I think you should also not use quilted. I think that's helpful when you have a hairy butt. Because the quilted, it's like adding more problem.
For sure.
Yeah.
But your toilet, oh God, once I was going down a woman, I remember like there must have been some toilet paper in there.
Yeah.
Something went into my mouth.
You need to look.
That you whispered like.
Yeah, it depends depending on how your vagina is situated, you need to check your vagina for toilet paper.
And to be clear, this was from a relationship that ended. Not my current one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anything you want to plug? This is coming out.
When's it come out?
July 19th.
Oh, you're
Okay,
ahead.
a bit away. Uncle Function in LA. Dynasty Typewriter. September 21st.
Okay.
That's the
And
big one.
we're doing a live version of The Downside.
Yes.
It's August 14th. Guest Usama Siddiqui from 6 to 7:30 at Sesh Comedy Club. Go to that. Lots of shows coming up. Do us a favor if you listen, rate and review us. Tell your friends. And Corinne, anything you want to plug?
Sure, you can follow me on all social media, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at Philanthropy Gal. I have a free full-length comedy special with Christina Hutchinson on YouTube called Our Special Day. You can access it by going to youtube.com/guyswefucked without the U in fucked. And if you're in Atlanta, Christina and I are headlining the Center Stage Theater on Saturday, September 10th, which will be part of a larger theater tour, but that's the only date that I have right now. So Atlanta, it's your lucky day. And listen to Guys We Fucked.
Yeah.
Listen to Guys We Fucked. And whether you're fucking guys, gals, ultimately life is gonna fuck you. This is The Downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.